We are joined by Tony Tomarchio. He is the Director of Technical Operations at Eighth Wall. He has been with Eighth Wall now, and in the past he's held management and engineering positions at technology companies, and he holds a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science from Cal Poly. We are also joined by Rigel Benton. Please, Rigel, step in and tell me how you pronounce your name. Apologies if I got it wrong. Rigel is an interaction designer at Eighth Wall. He previously worked as a cinematographer before transitioning into the AR development space and creating experiences for clients such as Salesforce, Warner Brothers, and Stanford School of Medicine. So from here, we're going to hand it over to our panelists, and we have a video of their discussion. And after that video concludes, I'll be back with Tony and Rigel to answer your questions. So enjoy. Thank you.
Great, thanks for the intro. Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining our session here today. My name is Tony Tomarchio and I'm the Director of Technical Operations at Eighth Wall. Eighth Wall is a leading developer platform for creating AR experiences on the web. I'm joined here today by Rigel Benton. He's our lead interaction designer. And in today's sessions, I'm going to be providing you with an overview of Eighth Wall's platform and technology, including our AR engine, our cloud editor, and our hosting features. We'll be reviewing some of the recent experiences launched using our platform. And finally, we're going to be giving you a handful of live demos. So with all of that, let's just jump right in and get started here today. So WebAR is, it's really a game changer. Now fully custom interactive AR experiences can run directly in your phone's web browser, no apps needed. So our platform's been used to power hundreds and hundreds of commercial experiences, all of which benefit from being scalable, cross-platform, and friction-free. Again, because there's no app to download and install in order to get at this content. So accessing WebAR experiences is now as simple as clicking on a link on a website, or a button in an email, or a text message, or even a social media post. Or if this is a physical product, this could be a product packaging or a poster, or something like that. It's as simple as scanning a QR code to launch a browser into the WebAR experience. So this provides a much greater reach and ease of access, to almost 3 billion smartphones and tablets out there globally, all just using a standard web browser. All these phones have everything they need right out of the box now to experience augmented reality. So to make this possible, Eighth Wall built our own AR engine from the ground up. So this is a really highly optimized SLAM engine that's comparable to ARKit and ARCore, but we re-architected ours for the web. And it runs all of this as an approximately 1 megabyte JavaScript library that runs directly in your web browser. The AR engine provides a number of key features that allow you to build WebAR experiences. The first is what we call world tracking, also known as our SLAM tracking or SLAM engine. So this allows you to place content in the world around you without any sort of marker. Content can be placed on surfaces or in the air in your space. The SLAM engine provides 6-off or 6 degree of freedom camera tracking. And this allows you to move your phone in the real world and see your virtual content from all angles. We also provide instant surfaces. So now with this, you can immediately engage with and have users place content, on the table or the floor or whatever surface happens to be in front of them. The concept of waving your phone that you might be used to seeing this concept of waving your phone back and forth for a few seconds while it tries to find a surface. That's not a thing with Eighth Wall. You might be used to that with other AR engines. We also provide lighting estimation. So this allows you to dynamically adjust the lighting in your virtual scene as the lighting conditions in your room change. This just gives better, more immersive experiences here. Our AR engine also does real-time image detection and tracking. So this allows you to spawn and anchor content when custom images are detected. All of the computer vision is performed locally on device in browser. It's not sending up any data to the cloud, not sending up your camera feed to the cloud. So again, you can use custom image triggers. You can take these pictures with your phone. You can upload digital images. You can currently track up to 10 image targets simultaneously, but you can have a library of up to 1,000 image targets per project. We provide you with the flexibility to change the active set of image targets that you're scanning for on the fly. We have an API for that. Also, what's really nice is that you can have both SLAM and image tracking enabled at the same time. So you saw in the video here just a moment ago where I had an image target where a palm tree was anchored and then it was dropping coconuts on the surface. So this is just one simple example of using both, image tracking and anchoring for certain content, but SLAM tracking for others. On top of our SLAM engine and our image tracking capabilities, we also provide a general camera framework. It's a very modular solution that allows you to integrate third-party tech. So this could be other computer vision libraries or really any other JavaScript library out there to provide additional functionality. So we've seen customers get really creative with this and incorporate things like voice recognition services, machine learning-based object detection libraries, and also integrate with backend services like backend databases or user portals, as well as custom analytics frameworks. So really, the sky's the limit here. When you're building with 8th Wall, really think of this as you're building a web page that just so happens to have AR features, more so than building a traditional native app. And because of this, pretty much anything you can do on the web now can be done in WebAR. So that's very powerful. Our AR engine has been integrated with the most popular 3D WebGL frameworks out there. So this includes things like A-Frame, 3JS, Babylon.js, Amazon Sumerian, as well as Play Canvas. So we support them all equally. So it's really up to you to choose the framework that you like best and are most comfortable with, and use 8th Wall alongside those to provide you with all of the computer vision and augmented reality functionality to build rich, immersive experiences in your browser. So as I mentioned before, 8th Wall has been used to power hundreds and hundreds of commercial WebAR experiences. This is just a sampling of some of the brands that have created things that are powered by 8th Wall here. And definitely for more information, please check out our blog for more detail and videos and links to some of these experiences. Go to 8th.io/blog. Next, I'm going to show a quick video that highlights some of the amazing work done by these customers over the past year and a half or so. So let's go ahead and play that.
You get the scan,
Great.
you click on the little gray bar at the top, it's going to open up a new window. You allow access to your camera, and look at this. Go over to the bobblehead, and now you have a virtual bobblehead of Aaron Nola on your phone. So that's how you do it. It's augmented reality. That's what we're showing you. Here is your opportunity now. Go ahead, shoot your television screen with the iPhone, open up your camera app, and go ahead and hold it up there. It's an amazing piece of technology that has all kinds of implications down the road, but that's your first opportunity to save $10 on Sunday's game. Why not?
What else could happen down the road with it, Murph?
Well, you know, there's talk of augmented reality is being used on television.
All right, so hopefully that gives you a nice sampling of some of the creative experiences that have been launched over the past year or so. In this next example, Amazon, Sony Pictures, and Trigger Global, they teamed up to run a Web AR experience for Jumanji: The Next Level. So we can go ahead and play the video.
Dive back into the jungle and discover the new world of Jumanji. There's no app to download, just click Start to launch.
So in this Web AR experience, the team integrated Amazon Lex voice recognition services to allow users to use their voice to travel around the Jumanji map and interact with 3D animations and video, and ultimately allow people to then purchase movie tickets to go see the film. So here we can see an overview of what that experience looked like. Okay, great. And on the next one here, the next example is a Web AR experience that goes along with the recent Lego Masters TV show on Fox. So each week, at-home viewers were given a different challenge and instructed to create a Lego experience in Web AR. They could then submit their creations to be part of a sweepstakes here. So this was a fun, creative, really interactive and sticky experience here that allowed people to come back on a regular basis, be creative, create Lego experiences, and submit them. Okay, so what's new at 8th Wall? So I presented at AWE last year, and since that time, the 8th Wall team has launched a bunch of new amazing features and tools to help you build better Web AR experiences, as well as make it a lot easier and faster to both build and host them. So let's dive into some of the things that we've launched since we were last together at AWE. The first one is our Cloud Editor. So the Cloud Editor makes it really easy to create, collaborate, and publish Web AR experiences, all just by simply logging into 8thwall.com. So the Cloud Editor is a fully featured code editor, allows you to write all of your HTML and CSS and JavaScript right here on 8thwall.com, manage your assets. We provide a number of templates that make it very easy to get started. It supports remote previewing, remote debugging wirelessly. Logs can be streamed to the 8thwall console. As well as flexibility to integrate external libraries and JavaScript packages. And Rigel and I are going to be demoing, creating and updating and publishing projects in just a few moments here. It also enables collaboration. So you can have unlimited members on your team all writing code and creating Web AR experiences. We provide full source control, so all of your code is saved. You can look at the commit history, see who's changed what. You can view diffs between different commits. It also allows you to manage what gets published to your users. So with the click of a button, you can deploy your Web AR experiences to a global CDN that has well over 200 points of presence globally to make people able to access and view these in a very fast and efficient way. You also have the ability to connect to custom domains and share both public and or password protected staging URLs. We also offer a project library. So this is really, really handy because there are over 30 sample projects. These are little bite-sized samples that make it really easy to get started. You can take a look at the code for any of these featured projects. Just go to eighthwall.com, click the Explore link on the top right of the page. You can view all the code. You can view previews. You can click a link and experience them live on your phone. And then you can also clone them into your Eighthwall account and then start customizing from there. So here's an example of drilling into one of these sample projects. You can click try it out, you can clone it. Again, you can view all the code here. Holograms have also been really big. Using WebAR to view volumetric content or holograms has gotten huge over the past year. So we've announced partnerships with volumetric companies like Microsoft's Mixed Reality Capture Studio and their licensees to Metastage and Dimension, as well as companies like Tedavy, Omnivore, Scandy, and 8i. So these integrations allow you to experience high quality streaming hologram assets and present those to your end users in their own space. So this next example here, this was a volumetric Web AR experience put together by Dimension Studios in London, along with our agency partner MediaMonks, to create a really high quality holiday card experience where users could place this hologram, not just the hologram, but also hologram along with, there's some 3D models and some really fancy particle effects. And the end result here is by planting digital trees in your space, real trees were donated to be planted here. And then the last example I have here is for the Office of the Israeli President. So the Office of the Israeli President worked with video capture system Tedavy and volumetric video streaming service Omnivore, along with creative director Nim Shapira. And the Web AR technology was powered by Eighthwall. So users are able to have the president visit them in their homes, listen to a speech, and even take a selfie. So in addition to AR, the cloud editor also makes it really easy to build web VR experiences. So it's not limited to just augmented reality anymore. So we also have some VR related templates in our project library that you can clone to make it easy to get started. Also, the video here you see on the left, this is a little game we put together called Rover Run, and you can see that featured in the Oculus browser. We also recently launched Inline AR. This makes it easy to embed AR in any website. Previously, Web AR experiences typically lived in little microsites that you would have to leave a page and go. Inline AR is powerful because you can now view experiences on the current page without leaving. You can scroll down, you can have multiple inline AR experiences on a single page, and you've got a lot of flexibility to expand and contract and do smart things about stopping and starting things when they come into view or they leave view. And last but not least, face effects. So we're launching face effects. This has been a highly anticipated feature. Rigel is going to be demoing this for you in just a bit. But these exciting new features make it easy to do things like attach objects to your face, create face masks or tattoo type experiences, and more. And then also for the first time, I'm excited that this also supports desktop environments in addition to mobile phones. So that's really exciting. So with that, let's jump into some live cloud editor and Eighthwall AR engine demos. Let me switch my screen over here and we'll take a look. So here, I'm going to give you one demo here, and then Rigel's going to continue with a few. Here I have a project in my Eighthwall account, and I'm going to click on the code editor to get started. The first thing I see is a list of templates that I can select. Again, you can also select templates from our project library at eighthwall.com. Here I'm going to select the one called Placeground that allows me to tap on a surface and grow trees. So I'm going to click Load Project, and this is cloning this sample repository and it's adding it into my project so that I don't have to write all of the code from scratch. So this takes just a moment. And the first thing we're going to do is preview it. So from the screen, I can edit all of my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. So here I have my body.html. This is an A-frame based project. So I've got all my different, assets and camera and different entities that I want to have in my scene. And I've got some JavaScript here that handles things like what to do when I click and, adding the models to the scene. And then I have currently an asset. This is our tree asset. It's just a GLB, which is a binary GLTF file. So that all looks good. I'm going to go ahead and preview it. So I can preview this directly in the browser. I'm going to pull up my phone. I'm sharing the phone screen here, and we're going to scan this QR code and click this link, and we can preview a development branch of this and see what this looks like. So here I've got my experience, and I'm tapping and I'm growing trees all over the place. Well, let's go ahead and make a couple of changes and just show you how easy in real time that can be. So, I don't want to plant a tree. I'm going to go ahead and select a different model. So I'm going to go here to my window, and I'm going to upload another model called Scary Tree. So I'm going to drag that right into the editor. And if I go ahead and click on that, I can see a preview window and look and see I've got a much scarier looking tree that I want to add into this experience. So I'm going to go and make a small change, and where I'm loading my asset for tree.glb, I'm just going to say scary-tree and click save and build. So this is going to rebuild my project on the fly. And when that's done, the phone that I pointed at that QR code that's previewing this experience is going to automatically reload. So it's reloading right now. You can see that on the left side of my screen here. And now when I go ahead and redo this and I tap, well, now I'm planting this different 3D model and all these scary trees, but they're much too big. So I'm going to make another quick change here on the fly. And what this code is doing is it's handling clicks. When I click, it's adding the 3D model and animating in the scale from small to big. And I'm just going to change the scale values here right quick on the fly, click save and build, and make one additional change. So again, this is going to take a moment. It's building my cloud project for me right now. Once it's completed, my phone's going to automatically reload, which it's doing right now. And go ahead and look at my updated version. So now I made a second change here, and try this again. And now this is a much better size. They're not too big for the screen here. So move things around and see this from all angles as you would expect. And again, this is all running directly in a standard web browser here. So now that I'm happy with these changes, I'm going to go ahead and land them. So I mentioned source control previously. So I don't want to lose my work. I'm going to check this into source control so that all the other members of my team can sync down the code changes that I've made and then continue to work on that. So I'm going to click the land button here. And as I do this, I can review the changes that I'm about to commit into source control. So I can see here that I changed the scale values and I changed my body.html and changed the name of the asset. Then I added a new 3D model. I'm going to call it like added scary tree. And go ahead and click land. So I'm going to land my changes. So this is checking this all into source control. And once this is complete, this will take just a moment or two. Once that's done, then I can go ahead and with the click of a button, publish this instantly to the web, again, to our global CDN. So this experience is now live and available globally. So in this screen, you also can manage the image targets that are associated with the project. In this case, we're not using any. I can see here the different code, like here's where I initialized it, and here's where I checked in my, my update to add the scary tree. And if I publish, now I can decide what I want to have live. You've got both a staging URL and a public URL. So you can decide, well, maybe I want to push the updates to a staging URL first that's password protected before we launch it. In this case, I'm just going to publish everything here live. And now this is live to the entire world. So that was just a quick kind of overview of the cloud editor itself and how you can view, edit, preview, and wirelessly debug all of your code. I didn't show you this here, but we also do have a console where I can view all the logs coming from my different devices in real time here. So create, collaborate, and publish all with minimal effort here. And with that, I'd like to turn things over to Rigel, and he's gonna continue with a couple of other 812 demos here. So let me stop sharing the screen.
Great, thanks, Tony. Let me just start my screen share. Okay, cool. Move all the faces to my other screen. Great, so I wanna show you a few more examples from our project library that you can clone into your own workspace whenever you have an 8th Wall account set up. But even if you don't yet have an 8th Wall account, I encourage you to go to 8thwall.com, and at the very top, you'll have an Explore tab. If you click that, you can view all of the available templates, and then you can even try them out without needing to, like I said, log in or create an account. You can try them out on your own phone. You can, in fact, you can even click into each one of these, and you can view the code that's written, so to see how it all works. And so that's what I want to show you today is a few of these projects. I'll start with our very recent announcement for face effects. And this is one of the templates that will be available, or that is available right now. If you can see, all I got to do here is just scan this QR code to jump right in. You'll notice too that I'm on an iPhone as opposed to Tony, who is on an Android device. So of course, all of 8th Wall runs cross-platform on any device, iOS and Android. So taking a look at this this A-frame template, we've got a cool pirate hat, as well as this kind of dangly skull chain that's reacting to my head as I whip it around. There's a few things going on in this scene. The first is that you'll notice that the pirate hat stays on my head, and that you can't see the back of the pirate head through my head. And that's because I have a head occluder object that's actually blocking the rendering of that. And so in my scene here, you can see sort of how this is structured. First, we have an XR face component. And if you're familiar with 8th Wall and A-frame, typically this would be an XR web component. And there are a few parameters here that are of interest. So mirror display actually flips the camera texture on the x-axis. Camera direction front has actually been there in our code for a while, but we haven't had a real reason until now to use the front-facing camera. And so this is where you set that. And then, of course, allowed devices any is also exciting because, as Tony had mentioned just a moment ago, we now support desktop with this as well. So it isn't just stuck with mobile anymore. And so kind of going into our scene, you'll notice we have an A entity with a face rigid component. And this face rigid is here. It's actually very simple. This is basically just taking these new events, XR face found, updated, and lost. And every single time it updates the face position from our engine, it copies the transform information to whatever is attached to this A entity. So in this case, it's all of the child entities, which include this head occluder object, like I had mentioned before, sort of an invisible thing that blocks the rendering of the back of a hat, and also the pirate hat itself and the chain. We've got a fun chain component in here that uses ammo.js to get this effect working, but this is all totally customizable and easy to modify. You can swap in and out, whatever models you like. And then the next thing I'd like to show you is, instead of just the face rigid, actually bringing in a face mesh. And so we offer, in this project, we have two different components, a PBR and a tattoo mesh component. I'll start with the face mesh tattoo. What's kind of cool about this one is that it's because we're leaving the pirate hat, the head occluder, and the chain as part of the entity, we're still going to keep those, even though now you'll see I have this really rad face tattoo, which I think fits the pirate hat look well. But that's not all, because in the PBR version of this, instead of just taking a base color texture in an alpha, now we have a full PBR texture array that includes roughness, and you'll see now I kind of look like a zombie pirate, which is definitely still fits this theme. One thing I want to mention too is you'll notice along the edge of my face, there's a feathering going on as it blends into the edge of my head. That's done with an alpha texture, and we have a few different ones that you can play with, as well as ones that make it look like a superhero, or if you want to do lipstick or something. So that's all available, and again, just running in a web browser. And so moving on, I'd like to show this was our A-frame variant, but we also have a 3JS one. And I can kind of show you what that one looks like, because both 3JS and A-frame support custom shaders. And so this one, I went a little bit more in trying to explore what custom shaders might look like. So this is a video texture. Here, I'll take my glasses off. This is actually a video texture playing back on top of the face mesh object. And what's really interesting about this is that because we're in a web browser, this is just a video tag with a source attached to it. So while this video is relatively small and was preloaded ahead of time, you could absolutely add live streaming or any number of other types of video formats to apply it to a face in real time, which is like pretty interesting. So who knows, maybe we'll all be watching TV like this in the future off our own faces. I don't know. Maybe, hopefully not. Next, what I want to show you is the Inline Ar example. This one's pretty cool too. So Tony had mentioned this prior. So you'll notice that immediately this looks like a normal website, but as I scroll down, reading about fun volcanoes, we'll get to a part where it's asking us to start the AR session. And when I do this, it's of course going to ask for my device motion access. And then now here we've got this inline AR scene. So, and this is pretty cool because, of course, this is fully interactive, right? And we still have the context of the article sort of wrapping this. I can pinch to scale. This could be a fully featured game. In fact, this could be face tracking. This could be, any number of things that you see on our current website. And I can even go full screen, right? Which on an iOS device looks really nice because it goes all the way to the bottom and to the top. So you no longer see any of the browser UI elements. Of course, I can go back. I can hit this X to close out the session, or using an intersection observer, I can even just continue to scroll and it automatically turns off and ends my AR session. So this is pretty cool. And it definitely, I imagine, will be utilized quite a bit by publications, e-commerce going forward. In terms of like how to actually get this to work, all of this is sort of wrapped inside of an iframe. And, and if you go into the other end of it, right? So this is an outer website, but if you go into the inner portion of the website, it's really simple. It's basically just including a script tag, and then if it's an A-frame scene, a single component inside your A scene, and then you're ready to go to begin embedding your inline AR content. And finally, the last example I want to walk through is a hologram template that we have that utilizes the Microsoft Mixed Reality Capture Studio format, also known as HCAP. And so a number of things had to happen for this template to work, but I'll just show you real quick. This is sort of what this looks like by default. You saw how quickly this loaded. That's because the HCAP format leverages video streaming, so you don't have to wait a tremendous amount of time before you get your hologram running immediately. And so, one of the things that I'll show you is actually not only can you display holograms using eighth wall, but you can also, we have a full end-to-end upload and distribution flow for HCAPs as well. So you'll notice here I've got my HCAPs that I've already uploaded inside of my assets folder, but I'll show you just how easy it is to actually upload a new asset. So I can either go in here and create a new asset bundle HCAP, or probably even more simple is I just select all of my HCAP associated files, I drag them in, it will immediately begin uploading it. It understands what format it is. And in a moment, we'll be able to preview it. We'll be able to even see, look into and preview the individual files that are included. And then of course I can create my bundle, and then one line of code change, begin distributing that hologram. So we'll just give it one more second to upload. And while it's doing that, you know, Tony had mentioned on those hologram slides, all the various partners we're working with. This one was actually provided by MetaStage in Los Angeles. So if you're in Los Angeles and you want to get access to these, definitely hit them up. Dimension is in London. And we have various other partners that are scattered all over the globe that make it really easy for you to acquire these files. So you'll notice here, we've got our dancing man set up. I can name it whatever I want. So I'll call him Dancing Man. I can even look at the raw video texture, which is kind of interesting. So you'll notice that it's this unwrapped UV playing back. And so I can create my bundle here. Of course, I have my preview, full screen, and look at the contents. But if I go into my body HTML and I set this to be the new HCAP and I hit save and build, you'll notice over here on my right side of my screen, you can see the iPhone 2 inside our wireless console. It's gonna hot reload. I can tap and place and boom, I've got my dancing hologram man over here. Let's see, I can drag him on over there. And I can make him really big. Rotate him around. And there he goes. I feel a little less lonely now. All right, cool. So yeah, that was what I wanted to show you. And thanks so much for coming to our presentation. I think now we can take questions if anyone has any.
Presentation. We've got a number of questions that we're going to get to. And for other folks, please use the text box and send them over. So first up, we have a question. Anastasia asks, as soon as we're able to track faces now, when will it be possible to track objects?
Sure. Hey, Anastasia. Great question. So, you know, we get lots of requests for lots of exciting features in the future. So can't speak to, you know, specific features here on our roadmap, but definitely, you know, make sure you join our newsletter, you join our public Slack channel for announcements on, you know, what we're going to be releasing in the future.
Yeah, and
sure,
just to go off of that, you know.
Go ahead,
oh, sorry. I was just going to
add
no,
I was
that,
just gonna say,
you know,
I was just going to ask, how could they access your newsletter? I'm so sorry about that.
no,
Oh, certainly. So just go to eighthwall.com and you can sign up right there on the homepage. If you want to join our public Slack channel, there's also a link on our website, or you can go to eighthwall.com/Slack.
Sorry, Rigel, by all means.
It's all good. Yeah, no, I was just going to add too that, like, in the past, you know, people have been asking, originally they were asking for image targets and we gave them image targets, and face tracking is now here, you know, face effects. So we absolutely listen and pay a lot of attention to suggestions and feature requests.
Great. We've got another question from Theron. How many holograms does one WebAR support? Are there some limitations?
No, so most of these hologram assets are actually streaming. So there's no particular limitation. You know, just keep in mind that, you know, if you have multiple assets at once, you know, there's going to be a higher bandwidth requirement for that. So, but, you know, you could also create experiences where maybe you're swapping out one hologram for another at different points in the experience, and then you're just only streaming one at a time. So long-winded way of saying that, you know, there's no hard limit. It really comes down to the assets that you want to create and how you want that experience to look to your end users.
Right. So I would imagine latency in the network would affect the output of the Web Ar experience. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, web best practices apply here, right? You're loading a web page, and, you know, ideally you want these web pages to load fast, so you get people right at their content. Again, the eighth wall piece of this, again, our JavaScript library is like 1 megabyte, so that's really small download by the browser. And the assets, they can start very quickly because they just download like the first chunk, and then the rest of it streams in as you go.
Great. And we have a question from Daniel Kelly. He asks, is there a polygon limitations for these 3D objects, in particular the hologram feature?
Rigel, you want to talk about content?
Yeah, so like when it comes to like poly count and that sort of thing, you definitely want to be mindful sort of for your typical 3D models of not adding too much to a scene, because it is the web browser, of course, rendering this content. In response to the hologram question, Microsoft Mixed Reality Capture has done an incredible job of reducing the polygon counts on these streaming hologram models to the point that really the overhead wouldn't be necessarily the 3D rendering, but you know, the quality of the video stream. So, and that's a variable thing as well. So so yeah, for the holograms, they're quite efficient.
Great. Theron had a follow-up question. She asks, and just to recall, she asked, how many holograms does one WebAR support? She did ask, does the hologram is supported using Amazon Sumerian? Let me know if that makes sense. Certainly you can ask a follow-up back to her. Guys, do you need further context, or you're good?
Yeah, no, I can address that. So the JavaScript Playback library that is being used alongside with 8th Wall in these projects was actually written by the Microsoft team, right? So this was a 3JS-based library. This also works really well with A-Frame because A-Frame sits on top of 3JS. So I suppose there's no technical reason why this potentially couldn't work with other platforms. I just don't know off the top of my head if they have a Playback library for that particular framework. That said, from an 8th Wall perspective, 8th Wall is engine agnostic. You know, we're providing the world tracking and the image tracking, now the face effect tracking. So, you know, you really can put any type of content that you like into these WebAR experiences, as long as the 3D framework that you're using 8th Wall with has like a loader or a player for that.
Very cool. Very cool. I just asked this on the chat window, but I'll ask it here. Please send in questions. We've got a good conversation going on here. Oh, here we go. Someone is asking, can you talk about the face deformation in the custom face filters example?
So the face deformation, maybe they're talking about the different like custom effects. So with since the talk was recorded, we of course launched this and now have templates that are available on the aforementioned project library. One of those templates is called Face Effects Custom, and it has outlined in it all the different effects and how to achieve each of those. And in fact, we've added since then probably half a dozen more effects as part of that project. And so, you know, there are a lot of different things in there that like you can play with. One of which is all the custom shader examples. And of course, a GLSL shader is composed of both a vertex and a fragment. The fragment's kind of like the color. So most of the examples are sort of manipulating the colors and the motion and everything. But for like face deformation specifically, typically it's like what you'd think of where your face is kind of moving or stretching in different ways. That would be on the vertex level, and all of that can also be modified. And so that would be, I would suggest go to the custom example project and then just clone that and just start messing with it. That's how I achieved all those different effects, is just like sort of experimenting.
Cool. Lex has a follow-up question to that one. He asked, and how are the face wire mesh assets used?
So in one of the shots, I did like a face tattoo example with like a wireframe texture. So that was actually taking our reference UV texture, and that's and just applying it directly to my face as part of the face mesh. And that's actually included in each of the projects as well. And that's actually really useful because apart from just kind of looking cool, it's an accurate representation of where each of the tracking points are on the face. And then if you import that texture into like Photoshop, You can use that as like a base layer for drawing new effects on top of it.
Oh, great. And particularly he was inquiring about eyebrow raises.
Is that, so maybe he means like how does the face, so because we're tracking all the different, or we're identifying all the points on your face, and then as you move your face, it's updating the transforms of that mesh object. Whenever you raise your eyebrow, because we're aware, the camera is aware of like where that eyebrow point is, that's what's actually changing the animation of the mesh itself.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. And then just in case we haven't covered this already, Theron, who asked 2 previous questions, he or she, apologies, was wondering if they could have a background in face effects. Let me know if I should follow up with it.
So adding a background. So this is interesting because in the announcement video, which again, if you go to our website, you can see all these different effects. And we have a video that I put together that has, at the very end, the last shot is like sort of my head's like floating against a video background. And that was actually achieved by having that head occluder that I talked about in the talk, and then apply that material directly to the face mesh, and then have that in front of a giant plane that's just playing back that video. And so what happens is it doesn't render the area of where my face is. It sort of punches through, and you can see. So it looks as if, you know, I'm sort of hovering in front of a background. So yeah, you can use different like hider materials or head occluders or whatever to sort of block out different parts of the scene that you want to like pass through. And that's kind of like a fun technique.
Cool. So I just noted we have a last call for questions. Guys, is there anything that you want to add? Anything that that we might have missed? Any final thoughts that you want to share with the group?
Yeah, you know, we just want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Again, if you go to eighthwall.com, please sign up, start playing around, start creating, and join our Slack channel, show people what you're building, ask questions, and engage with the community. So we'd love to get you starting to use this technology. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and I'd also like to add that as part of this announcement, we also announced video capture in browser. So that makes the face effects sharing all the more exciting. And all of this can be experienced on our website. We have a demo, and I'll post the demo link in the chat right now, and you can try it for yourself on your own device.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys, for that. So we're going to close right now and take a short break in between our next session. But before I do let you go, I did want to take an opportunity on behalf of the AWE team to extend a big thank you to their titanium sponsors, which include HP, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Unity Technologies, as well as their gold sponsor, which is Plug XR. The organizers of AWE also wanted me to remind you about the Augies Award, the Augie Awards tomorrow, starting at 11:50 Pacific Daylight Time. And they also encourage you to post on your social channels and use the event hashtag, hashtag AWE 2020. And with that, thank you. And we thank you to our panelists. And we will see you shortly for our last session of this track. Thanks again. So long.